Hey guys, I'm finally learning how to do Facebook Live, so I will wait just a moment or two before I really get started. But as you can tell from the headline of this post, I received the results this afternoon that my COVID-19 test was positive. That is not really a surprise to anybody, including myself, because obviously I've been living in close quarters with someone who was diagnosed. So just wanted to jump on and give everybody an update on Rick, give everybody an update on me, share with you some of the information that I received from the health department today, which is brand new information. Some things are changing all the time. So, you've heard people say that, but I just want to reiterate that when they say things are changing, it's not just that people are being diagnosed, but truly things are changing with how they're dealing with things and what they are doing in regards to quarantine and everything else. So, hey everybody, just wanted to give you a quick update. As my headline says, I tested positive for COVID-19 and just got the test results this afternoon. It took just a little bit longer to get those test results back just because of the demands that they've had on the system. The demands that they've had on the system because so many people were wanting to be tested. And so, as I mentioned earlier, they tested for all kinds of things. And I was luckily only positive for this. So that's good news. And I am overall feeling even better this afternoon than I was earlier today. Finally, my nose has not throbbing quite so bad. So I'm happy about that. So some of the questions that folks had included what kind of test was done. And I don't know if people were thinking we were like self-diagnosing on Google or something. And I think I mentioned this last night. But I just wanted to let you know that when I spoke with my new best friend Josh at the public health department, I asked him about the testing, and it was in line with some of the stuff that I had read, which was basically the very first way at the beginning of getting tested was only through the CDC. So they had to send those tests off to the CDC to get tested. Then they started making testing kits available to public health departments. And now they have rolled out tests that are available to private providers and clinics and things. I was tested at Vanderbilt, which is my regular healthcare provider. And so they said they have full faith in the testing, and they don't have any it is a legitimate test. So I'll just say that. So if people are saying, oh, but was it tested by the CDC? It doesn't matter. This is what they're using to, track the cases. So actually, again, things are changing all the time. I just went over my actions for the last week with the guy at the health department just to take a look at anybody I was in close proximity with in order for them to figure out who they need to reach out to or contact. I have been in touch with some folks already, especially once we knew that Rick was positive. So several folks have already self-quarantined, and I thank them for that. It's just a smart thing to do, as we've been talking about on all of these updates, right? So these folks are taking extra care to, not only protect others, but just to, kind of stay and see what's going to happen. So the latest update, you guys have been asking a lot about how long we're quarantined. And so Josh just informed me today that the new information says literally that this just changed today. So this is brand new information about how they're going to handle the test, how they're going to handle the quarantine. I felt like shit on Saturday. So they're considering that my day 1, okay? And they're asking me to self-isolate for a minimum of 14 days. So I'm already 4 days into that. And if I'm asymptomatic, they will cut me loose after that. So again, just like I mentioned yesterday when we were talking about Rick. They're going to reach out to us every day and check on us. They're going to check our symptoms, and they're going to see how we're doing. And as long as we continue to improve, once they recognize that 14-day period is over, then they should cut us loose to just move about the regular population. So since I have mentioned that, I will say, some of you know this already, that Rick was still just really worried because he was having some trouble breathing, and he contacted his primary care doctor, who suggested that he go in and to the emergency room. And so I dropped him off at the emergency department on the, as I mentioned in the earlier video, I took him to the emergency department and dropped him off there. And he just gave me an update a little bit ago that they have started an IV because they did a chest x-ray and they did find a little pneumonia. So again, people, please don't panic. People have been getting pneumonia forever and ever and ever and ever. And there are things that they do to treat it. There's not a way to cure it. But if any of y'all got a pawpaw or meemaw who has had pneumonia, you know that it's really important to not just lay around, first of all, and it's important to stay hydrated. And they're going to be taking all the precautions there at the hospital to make sure that he gets better. Again, he still seemed to be feeling better. He was just worried about developing pneumonia. So it was smart that he reached out to his doctor. So again, if you guys have any concerns about your health or safety or whatever, talk to your own doctor first, message them, call them, do whatever you need to do. Don't go out and step into any of these clinics unless you absolutely have to, because it just doesn't make sense to do it. Just stay home, please. So anyway, I will give you guys an update. I think they're going to admit him, but that was a bit unclear, and we were texting and I was trying to finish some work and then I was on the phone. So I will find out more about that later. Let's see. Somebody asked, and I thought this was such a very lovely question. Someone asked if I could prepare, if I could have known that I needed to prepare, what would I have bought? And so I thought that was an excellent question. And the funny thing is, for those of you who really know me well, you know that I don't like to go to the store anyway. So I have groceries delivered. We run in occasionally to Publix or Kroger to pick something up, but for the most part, we have our groceries and things delivered anyway. So we're accustomed to that level of luxury being here in the city. But some of the things that we ran out of, that we were like, oh man, now we've got to try to send somebody to go get us something, was that we were running low on Gatorade. We usually keep Gatorade powder here. One of my favorite things is like a Powerade slush from Sonic, and I make those at home. So I would have loved to have had more Gatorade, because we've really been going through the Gatorade until this point. It would have been nice to have an easy thermometer. I never run a temperature, so it would have been nice to have a thermometer that was easier to take the temperature. If any of you have kids, you probably already have one of those that you can read in an ear or a forehead or whatever. So it would have been nice to have something like that was just quicker and easier. We would have had probably just some more juice, but again, when we weren't feeling great, I placed an order for juice and for extra waters and stuff like that. I tend to drink water that has the electrolytes in it, but I would recommend that just because I think it makes good sense, especially as you're just trying to stay hydrated. And so just making sure you've got water on hand, things that are going to make it easy for you if you are feeling unwell to eat or to stay hydrated. Make sure you've got Tylenol on hand. And if any of those comfort items, we talked a little bit yesterday about the throat coat tea and other things that were recommended, and I did get a better scan of the document that the doctor's office gave me, so I will update it. I will add that into the comments section of this post whenever we're done here. We found that Chloraseptic was really helpful. So we were kicking it old school. When there was a little bit of a tickle in the throat and a little bit of discomfort there, even with some of the coughing, that is really helpful. So those are the only things that I could really think about that I would have. I did see a couple of other questions. One, someone asked again, where did we travel to? And I think they were specifically saying, where did I I traveled to when I mentioned that I had I had traveled in February. So I went on vacation to Iceland at the end of December and came back home in mid-January. And then I left on February 1st and went to New Hampshire for about 10 days. And then I traveled to DC and then I came home. So again, nobody's been out of the country to any of the affected areas in the last, 14 days or anything like that. And so I just wanted to make sure that I cleared that up. You also might have seen in the comments that I said I wanted to talk about fear mongering and talk about drama seekers. So guys, unfortunately, I spoke too soon earlier when I saw that when I said that people weren't really being assholes. So unfortunately, saw some folks who do live in our neighborhood here who were really trying to start a frenzy. And I understand that people have fear. Okay. I get it that you're worried. It's unknown. That's why I'm doing these videos, so that you can see a real person with the symptoms and who can answer your questions. But unfortunately, folks were saying things like, exactly where do they live? You need to tell me right now because I go to the Publix and I go to the Kroger and I live right here in this area. Well, guess what, folks? We have not been out licking doorknobs in the dead of night or anything like that. So nobody's trying to get anybody sick, and it's just it's not helpful. It is counterproductive to your neighbors and your friends and your family, and really to yourself by making comments like that. So I will say, someone told me earlier to be careful about doing some of these videos because they were afraid for crazy people trying to come over. I don't know what crazy people would do, but if you're a crazy person and you're wanting to do something here, I highly recommend you not do that. So again, there's no reason for folks to be super worried. We're not lepers. This is not a flesh-eating bacteria. It's not a brain liquefying amoeba or anything like that. And so everybody just needs to really calm down and understand that, again, things are changing every day. And once something starts to spread like this, and thanks to my friend Mike up in Upper East Tennessee, who's a nurse, Mike mentioned, this is community acquired. We don't really know where the exposure happened. And so once it starts to be community acquired, it means more people are going to be diagnosed and more people are going to get it. Okay. So just accept that. And again, treat the symptoms, stay home, do your best to stay protected. Don't put other people at risk. But again, one of the things that happens is that, you might be carrying some cooties around before you even really are aware of what is going on. So I mentioned I've had much milder symptoms than Rick has had. And I wanted to tell you a little bit about what my symptoms were like, because it has been, it was just weird. I am highly sensitive to Bradford pear blossoms or blooms. So when the Bradford pear trees get one little flower on them, I start having postnasal drip. I start coughing. I start feeling crappy, and it happens until they are in full bloom. And there is one, I'm looking at it right now. There's one outside our back door. So when I first felt, some postnasal drainage and some postnasal drip, some of that kind of stuff, I had no reason to be concerned about what was happening, because for me, it was very typical for this time of year. So that is what happened to begin with. And that was on February 29th was when that feeling was there. But again, they are not considering day one for me until the day that I was just out of commission. And that was this past Saturday, 4th, 5th. 6th. I think that was March 7th. And I just laid on the couch all day. Okay. So, I started feeling a little run down on Thursday of last week, and was just tired. But for those of you who don't know, I am in Nashville, and our neighborhood was hit by the tornadoes. So we were exhausted from, we'd been out in the community trying to help out. It's just a lot of stress and trauma to deal with when it's hit your neighbors and your friends and your family. And so I was feeling run down a bit on Thursday, but by Saturday was when I really was like, ooh, I am not well. By Sunday, I was feeling okay. I wasn't back to 100%, but I was feeling okay. And then I have just continued to improve. Again, it's kind of a little harder to get started in the morning, but that's nothing new for me. I'm not a morning person. And so, again, if you're just joining, the new rules for the quarantine are that 14 days from your day one, so I'm about 4 days into that, as long as I'm asymptomatic and they are checking in with me every day, then they will cut me loose after that. So folks have asked things like, why was I in the car if we were quarantined? And if you watch the videos, you saw that earlier. But I just want to reiterate that they didn't tell us we can't go anywhere. We're not supposed to go in stores, and we're not supposed to go hang out with neighbors or anything like that. But I was instructed to take Rick to the emergency room. There may be times when we have to leave the house, so don't panic. Again, you're not going to catch anything from me being out in the world. Okay. And that brings me to a really important point. So I had to go through everybody I've come in contact with over the last week, and they wanted to know questions like, were you in close contact for 10 minutes or more? And close contact is considered 6 feet or less. So, the good news is, for any of you guys who were worried in the neighborhood, because we did pop by and grab some food up the street, he had no concerns, at least at this point, about anybody being around us when we were outside, because it's open, fresh air, and we weren't super close to people anyway. So, just again, don't panic. If I was trapped in a room with someone, and they're definitely following up with them, but I had already given them I'd already given them a heads up. I've shook hands with people briefly and things of that nature, but there have been very few people that I've been in close contact with. And so far, everyone, as soon as they knew that Rick had tested positive, they have been on self-quarantine themselves because they are being responsible human beings. So thank you guys for being proactive. My friend Kim, I had dinner with her on Monday night, and as soon as she got back home, she was in touch with her doctor. As soon as she got the news, she was in touch with her doctor, and has been on self-quarantine. So, if just better safe than sorry to do those things. If there's someone that who tests positive or thinks that they might have been exposed, get in touch with your healthcare provider and ask them what they would recommend that you do, and follow their information. And follow their guidance. So that's all I can think of at the moment. Let me take a quick gander at the comments. I need a moderator. Okay. Lots of good positive thoughts. Thank you. Tons of folks have asked if we need anything. And I mentioned earlier, we really don't need anything right now. We have everything that we could need, but I do promise to let you know if we have any needs that you all can help with. I will absolutely let you know about that. Just lots of nice little comments. Thank you guys. Okay. Lori, thanks for that question. Once you have it, can you get it again? I have not heard the firm answer to that, but I will ask about that. I think the last that I was reading said that, you really should have built up kind of the immunities or the antibodies to it. But I've also heard people saying that they had read of cases of people getting it again, and I just don't know if that is true. So I will try to find out something about that later. I will say, someone asked me earlier if I could do the test that I have seen some of you guys circulating, which was to hold my breath for 10 seconds and see if it was painful. I don't think that's an accurate test to give yourself. First of all, I was tested and no one asked me to do that. So there you go. And also I can hold my breath for 10 seconds, but yet I tested positive. So, guys, just please don't fall into that trap of believing everything you read on the internet. And please make sure that you are, being smart, and you're not self-diagnosing and claiming that you have it or whatever, because you did some kind of an internet test or you took a quiz on Facebook or something like that. So someone asked earlier someone asked earlier again how Rick is. Rick is at the hospital, and he's getting IV fluids because he does have a mild case of pneumonia, and they are still monitoring him and tracking him closely. Overall, we are healthy people. Someone again at ages, I have a low network connection. I just turned 41. Rick just is about to turn 45. Hey Matt, you cannot get it from Facebook Live, even if I cough on you. So that's good news too. People are now at home doing the test to see if they can hold their breath and stand on one foot. So I want to see those videos. That'll be good entertainment for me. I am, again, happy to answer any questions that you guys have. Thanks to one of the folks who actually watched the video and had a question. Actually, she didn't have a question. She just wanted to say thank you. And she sent me a private message and said she wasn't able to comment on the video. So I was not aware of that. I had not even thought about the settings that Facebook has that will, where people you don't know can't comment. So I have changed that for these videos, so that as long as they are public, then strangers should be able to comment and ask their questions. So again, if you're a stranger and you do not know me personally and you have a question, please just make sure you go back to this original video. If you are posting on your friend's Facebook page or something under the video, I'm not going to see those questions. I was able to keep up with some of those questions earlier on, but now that the videos have had like 150 shares, I just can't track all of them. And if your friend's settings are really on lockdown, I won't even know who they are, who the people are who've shared it. So again, just come back to the video on my page and post your questions there, and I'll be happy to answer them. If you are if this is your first video that you're watching, please go back and watch episodes 1 and 2, and then that little mini episode I did earlier, and get caught up, because most people have had the same kinds of questions. So just make sure that you go back and get the full story and see how this has all progressed with us. Oh yes, I did want to call out one more thing. Back to the fear mongering and the drama stuff. I found out that someone tagged Rick's employer and was trying to shake their finger at them, and I think that's really not cool. First of all, they called him right away as soon as he notified them, and they are on top of it. The head of security and safety, I don't know his exact title, and they have been on it. It is none of your business how they handle it, and they are going to take care of their employees. So if you could not tag people's employers, that would probably be helpful, because that is not something that is going to be helpful. So just think about that. If you're someone who wants to get all worked up about things, think to yourself, why am I posting this? Is this going to be helpful? People are taking this seriously. When Rick's school was contacted, they're on spring break this week, but they were sending in extra crews to clean up at the school just to take those extra precautions. So people are taking this seriously, and I need for y'all to trust that people are not being ridiculous and are not being, lackadaisical when they are learning of these diagnoses. Okay? Diagnoses? Okay, so just want to make sure that you guys know that. Again, it just doesn't do any good. It doesn't serve a good purpose for you to be, getting people all hyped up. I honestly can't think of anything else at the moment, so I will check the comments one more time. And I see people sharing a couple of resources. I will go ahead and post again in the comment section the information that I received yesterday at the doctor's office about all the stuff about hand washing and whatnot, and just kind of keeping yourself safe and protected, but also to make sure that that you are managing symptoms if you do start to feel unwell. They had some really great tips. A lot of them are just old home remedies. I mentioned good old Vicks Vapor Rub. It has been awesome for us. I actually have it on my feet now because it's been quite soothing, and you can rub it on your chest. You can put it in a bowl of hot water and sit with a towel over your face and breathe in that steam. Or if you have a humidifier that has a little Vicks pads or something like that, you can use those as well. So I will upload those things back into this thread. Several people were trying to share my really crappy photo the other day, and I apologize for that. I didn't realize it was quite as bad as it was. My paper was wrinkled, number one, but it was also kind of a little bit of a poor lighting situation. So, okay, guys, as soon as I know anything else, I promise that I will let you know. As soon as I have an update on Rick that is really anything worthwhile, I will let you know that as well. And I will just say, just keep your cooties away from other people. I need some kind of a tagline for the cooties, but anyway, just make sure that you guys are taking good care of yourselves. There have been, I've seen several people today post that their companies have put a ban on travel. Ours is one that we just said, hey, it doesn't make sense to have people traveling right now, domestic or internationally, and others who have been in similar kind of fields where they travel a lot have also been grounded. So, folks are really taking the precautions to not be moving about and taking cooties everywhere and all over the place. So just be smart. And again, don't be a fear monger. Don't be a drama seeker. It serves no purpose for you all to do that. And again, thank you. Yes, don't be an alarmist. Thanks so much. Okay, guys, I will keep you posted as soon as I know more. And again, thanks for sharing my videos. Thanks for all the positive feedback and comments that you all have had. It has really been a lot. When I first considered doing this, I wasn't sure. I just wasn't sure if I should put it out there in the public. And I've just heard so many people tell me that it was nerve calming for them, that it was helpful to hear from somebody and see a real person and to know, to really put a face with what is going on. I've heard people say that they wanted more from the government, or they wanted more from the hospitals or clinics or whatever. I'm not sure what else folks could really have. And I say that in the best way that I can. Unless you've gone through it, you don't know all these things that I'm telling you, right? They know what the protocols are, and they know what they're looking for, and they know what they're supposed to do if someone's infected, but they don't really know what someone has been going through to be able to answer all these questions. And so, I do know that people have been having press conferences, and they've been having phone calls and stuff like that. The healthcare systems are putting out great information about staying safe. As I mentioned to you guys, I walked into the clinic maybe I didn't. When I went to get tested, Vanderbilt had a tower of face masks and hand sanitizer and all that stuff right at the door. So I grabbed a face mask. I walked back outside. I put the face mask on, and I went inside and waited, and I did not touch anything. So anyway, just keep that in mind. And again, thanks so much. Thanks for sharing the videos. Keep the questions coming. Look forward to seeing you guys. I'll be seeing you only here for the next 10 days, people. So I guess you can come and peep through the window, and we can be like the boy in the bubble. If you have not seen that movie with, I think it's John Travolta, you can Google that and probably find it on Netflix. And it's a good one. That's really what it's feeling like. So anyway, hope you guys have an awesome rest of your evening, and I will let you know as soon as we have more information. Have a great night.